Here you go. Here I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, IterateUX. Thank you, Alicia and Jenny, for having me. It's wonderful to be here in December and to close the year together. So today I'll be speaking on creating delight in design and joy in human connections. And this is a personal topic of interest of mine for a while, and I'd like to dive right in. But before that, maybe I can do a quick um, run through. If you have not known me, hi, I'm Natalie. I'm a Singaporean product designer. I have been in this industry for 2 years. I specialize currently in design systems and also previously in innovation and feature design. Right now, I'm residing in Singapore, but previously I was in the greater Boston area in Connecticut, doing community involvement and also exploring different perspectives on design, particularly in localization and in emotional design. So a little journey with me here. I started, like as mentioned, 2 years ago in UX UI in SPH Media. So SPH Media is Singapore largest media news publication. And in my time there, I designed for 4 products, mainly these three. Straits Times being the flagship product, news products in Singapore. And I also designed, a 01021 app solution for Tamil and also an app revamp for Berita Harian. And I was really close with my team. We worked very closely together to launch these 3 apps this year. So it's really a proud journey to go through with my team. And my journey in 2 years ended because I realized I want to pursue something out there. I want to learn more about how design is like, especially in the US landscape. And so my journey begins overseas to the far west, where, I explored design. I went to Config this year. I met so many people from different areas or different continents. And, I expanded my interest in design. I realized that, this is where I want to be for a while. So actually in August, I was in New York and I did a talk about localization design as well. Alicia was there. And, I was really happy because this was my first talk and I was very invested in understanding cultures and how do we apply cultures in design. So I was at Brooklyn Product Design, sharing my thoughts on localization. And not only that, I got to meet many, many different people from all walks of life. I went for an AI networking event, and also like Alicia introduced, I founded a community in Connecticut, product design at Connecticut. As of now, I think it's 80 members strong, and I'm still maintaining it on my own, trying to organize monthly meetups as possible. So if you're interested and if you're staying around the Connecticut area, do reach out and we can organize events on a monthly basis. Yeah. So where I am right now here, I'm back in my sunny island of Singapore. I'm also heavily involved in community involvement back home. I'm in Singapore Product Design, and recently we did an event as well called Shaping the Future with AI. It was a success, and not only that, I'm also continuing my passion in design. Um, Started a new role, an exciting role in design systems, and also on the side, organizing this talk. Really grateful for the opportunity and also writing about design. I hope to publish a publication by next year and opening the board to anyone that's interested in writing design. If you have a topic in mind, do let me know after the talk and we can discuss further. So yeah, this is my side of story. And before I talk about design, I just want to let you guys know that this talk is totally interactive. There will be sections where we will put our thinking cap ons. And as you have the link in the comment section, the Fig Jam, I will be sharing the Fig Jam later where we can create some ideas together. And at the end of the session, there will be a Q&A round. So any burning questions you have in the comment sections, I will be answering them and we can also brainstorm together. All right, so without further ado, here is the content of today. I would like to speak about delight in design, particularly in these 3 formats. Firstly, introducing what is delight, how do we craft experiences that brings joy to the users and also to us as designers. Secondly, the differences between surface delight and deep delight. What brings us immediate delight on the surface and how do we enhance that? And also in deep delight, what actually sustains delightful experiences in a product and how do we maintain and ensure that it's a lasting strategy? So as you can see in these three sections, there will be three thinking cap brainstorm moments that we will go through together. So first of all, I would like to open this by, thinking what exactly delight is to you. Delight, it could be an emotion, it could be an experience, it could be a moment of satisfaction, and it could be in different areas. Like for example, in recent times now where we have our end of year parties, you might have secret Santas with your colleagues or your friends. The form of delight also comes in like gift giving and also embracing with your family and friends. It could be, for example, seeing a beautiful landscape or waking up to a great day or a wake of sunrise. And it also can be personal accomplishments, for example, hiking on a mountain, finishing a marathon. Delight can also come in forms of unexpected surprises. For example, as you can see here, this guy won the lottery and he was delighted to win that. It is an unexpected reward, and at times we excel in that. And delight can also come in forms of community support, being surrounded by people you love, and having that peer support with you throughout life. So with that, let's channel into digital interfaces and also see how delight comes in different areas when we interact with digital products. So as maybe many of you would have understood, like recently there's this Spotify rap going on, and there's a hoo-ha where many celebrities have come out with their personalized messages of well wishes to their fans and their users as well. So that comes in a different form of delight where you have this close connection, where Spotify made this connection even transparent and even tangible with the users. Daylight can also come in forms of gamification where you are on a shop or Sephora app and you can scan this to play and win some awards with them. It also can come with forms of, for example, planting a tree and helping the community by staying focused and also contributing a real tree planting in the progress. And also delight can be in the forms of aesthetics. Like as you can see on the top right, this Bondi app, it's really quirky, it's fun, it's relatable to the Generation Z members, and they have a very casual way of presenting avatars. And lastly, delight can be loyalty programs, as what Starbucks does best. You earn points, you win rewards, and you gain a long-lasting relationship with this brand that you love. So here, Donald A. Norman, which is the principal of Nelson Norman Group, the biggest and largest design community in the world, he says that is not enough we build products that function, that are understandable and usable, but we also need to build products that brings joy, excitement, pleasure, fun, and yes, beauty to people's life. And this it's part of being human, that we also thrive in being joyful and being delightful, that even though we excel in products that serve us purpose, but at the same time, it is the extra mile of delight that pushes us further to enjoy and to stay connected with, the people and the community around us online and offline. So with that, I would like to come to a point of definition on what exactly user delight is. So here on Nelson Norman, user delight refers to any positive emotional effect that a user may have when interacting with a device, interface, or medium. And user delight may not always be expressed outwardly, but it does influence the behavior and opinions formulated while using a product. And I just want to open this conversation with some personal examples on how some products have done delightful experiences really well. So here you can see Google Offline Maps. They do take a very interesting note on creating frustration into opportunity. So what they've done it brilliantly is that they managed to, suppress the frustration of being disconnected for the user by distracting them with this alternate pastime of this Dino Run game. I'm pretty sure that many of you guys have also played this while also waiting for your Wi-Fi to turn up. And I actually did a test on it. I off my Wi-Fi and I played this game. And I found out that, I forgot that I was offline for 20 minutes while trying to beat my high score. So while, staying offline and trying to be connected again, I was present at the moment and I did find joy in playing this game. So this way of delightful design is how Google does it is that they turn obstacle into delight, and it changes a very negative experience into a very positive after effect that is unexpected as well for the user. So now that I've shared an experience that is delightful design, of course I have to share something that is not so delightful. So anyone actually feel this pain on WhatsApp when you send a wrong message, you want to delete this message and cover your tracks, but you end up being exposed by WhatsApp with this bubble. You deleted this message to, your friends. I feel the pain, and I'm sure most of you guys do it as well. So while this system feedback does have a great intent of letting the users know that, hey, you have done this action, it does create very unwanted hyper focus on publicizing the user's error. And in return, it causes embarrassment, it causes user frustration instead of a relief, a sense of relief. So initially, you trying to cover up the tracks now makes you look suspicious to your friends that, hey, am I not reviewing something that your friends should know? So that sort of user frustration is something that we want to avoid. And previously, the way how obstacle is changed into opportunity is the delight that we want to achieve. So with that, let's go into a little bit more theory and a little bit more of understanding how do we prioritize delight. In Designing for Emotion, Aaron Water in his book has explicitly mentioned in this hierarchy that breaks down really clearly in 5 pillars on how designers, product teams can design delight in this hierarchy. You have your deep delight pillar, which is access, utility, and experience. And under this pillar, what it does it mean? It means that under access, you are designing delight for accessibility. You're designing delight in completing user journeys from end to end, and also thinking about different marginalized groups such as disability that you need to think of to ensure delight. In utility, it means functionality. So meaning how scalable, how successful is this feature. So while making sure that it doesn't break, the logic doesn't break, you ensure that this is functional, and in return, you give deep delight for the user. And in experience, it is quite straightforward here where we want to achieve the most delightful user experience, right? So here, users would excel most in delight if they have intuitive, personalized, catered experience to them. And this is something that we as designers do have to take note of. And under in-surface delight, we have 2 areas. Firstly, aesthetics, and secondly, delight. I know it doesn't make sense here, but it does means visible delight, meaning something that you can see on the surface. So here, how do we ensure delight? It's by making sure that our visuals, our UI are cohesive, comes together as a whole, and that surface delight gives pleasurable feelings of sensation for the users. So with that, this is how Aaron has pictured delight to be. And with that, let's jump into our first thinking cap session. If you guys can pull out under the comment section, the link here, I would like you guys to go into this first area, as you can see on my screen. And right here, what we want to do in the next 5 minutes is perhaps share an experience where you actually felt delightful, you felt happy, you felt pleasure using a certain app and application, and just, note down pointers why. And, feel free to attach any references, any links, any image that makes you feel good about using this experience itself. So with that, let me start the timer for around 3 minutes. I think that's a good gauge. And let's start jamming. If anyone has any issues with the file, do let me know, and I can try to make this accessible for you. Thanks, Jenny, for putting the link on the comment section again. I appreciate it. Yeah. some music as well.
Yeah. Okay. You all look at my phone. So this is my.
All right. Anyone needs more time? I think so. Okay. Let me get maybe 30 more seconds and then we can, jot down our final thoughts. I'm reading all of that as well. So thanks for the submissions. All right. Okay. So thanks guys for submitting. I hope this was fun. It's definitely different from a usual presentation, I would say, or a pitch or a talk. But I hope that this also makes everyone think about what actually makes them delightful on an everyday experience. So maybe I'll just, quickly go through maybe one or two experience. Luigi, sorry. Shopee e-commerce store sounds notification, definitely. And maybe if we have to align it back to the hierarchy of user delight, that might be under either aesthetics or a visible delight, where you touch on the sense of sound. So you know that your parcel is coming and you're super delighted. Me too. I just got my 11/11 parcel like 2 weeks ago, so I understand how you feel. Yeah. Apple Watch completion of rings and milestones, that is so key, and that's all about personalization as well. It tells you when you hit your target, and so do we want to know when we achieve a certain milestone. And maybe one or two more. When using my workout machine, the main screen keeps tracks of my progress. I see a lot of recurring themes of progress, milestones, and also being in the gym, having your Fitbit smartwatch as well that keep track of your steps. So in total, I see 3 or 4 similar experiences on having delight from personal achievements. That's great. And then maybe for Airbnb, Discord, and for WhatsApp, they have great experience, integrated experience. Airbnb, where you can compare and tailor based on suggested itineraries. That's so important as a traveler. Under experience and under function as well as a travel site. Discord built-in reactions, that's super aesthetic. I do love it as well, especially the stickers. And wow, chess app, that's really very specific. Suggested puzzles. So yeah, intuitive, learning co-creating experiences with you as a user and helping you, become better as a chess player. I think that's very delightful. So thanks for sharing. Let's get back to our main content. And thanks once again. There will be 2 more thinking cap sessions, so let's move on. All right, so in today's exploration, with the hierarchy in mind, I will be putting 2 things on the table. Firstly, how we can design surface delight, which is by converging physical worlds and digital mediums together. And secondly, by understanding intrinsic motivations in building deep, delightful experiences. So 1, enhancing surface delight. Let's see how we can do that together. These are some examples of surface delight. And as mentioned, surface delight are things that you can see, are tangible, on the surface. Like, for example, previously the Discord avatar and sticker illustrations, they do fall under surface delight. And this can come in different areas as such. 1, aesthetics. This is half past branding on the website, and they did their aesthetics really well. They have a neutral color palette that stretches across different responsive devices, and they integrate their marketing and the alignment really cohesively. So they do their aesthetics really brilliantly. Illustrations, as many have recognized this iconic owl duo. It's a very quirky illustration set icon library, and we do relate it in a personal level where this illustrative icon not only pushes us further but also encourages us to continue our progress on Duolingo. And on micro interactions, you have things that trigger system feedback. For example, when a page is loading, micro interactions help you indicate where you are at a certain checkpoint. So like, for example, Google does it brilliantly. It closes and expands from the logo into the progress bar, and I like that so much. And microcopy or UX writing, it does play a very big part in creating surface delight as well. So one of these examples I found here is from Burger King. And what they do brilliantly is, for example, this is the door, right, for Burger King. Instead of saying just push the door, they say hands full, you can also use your bottom or your butt. So it plays very brilliantly into a person's behavior of using your leg or using your butt to push the door if your hands are full. And on the other flip side, if you want to pull the door, you can do it your way and push, but this door is pretty stubborn. So it also plays on the human behavior that sometimes we want to push the door instead of pulling, and we fail to read the sign. So this microcopy does it brilliantly in acknowledging human patterns and bringing delight to it. So what surface delight encompasses is these 3 pillars. Firstly, it's captivating. Surface delight has this hook behavior by triggering the user's attention, by being visually engaging and pleasant to the eyes. So at first glance, you're captivated and you want more out of it. It is contextual, so meaning it has personality, it does have an intent and a message, and often it's contextualized to form a emotional relatability with the users as well. It is communicative, meaning it evokes a certain action or response from the user. It's usually a feedback on telling you your progress or where you are at a certain page, and users will be able to pick it up from, our knowledge of pattern recognition. So, for example, if there is a page and the button is pointing left and it's bouncing, instantaneously you know that you want to click on it and take action on it, and that plays very well into communicating with the users on what's the next action to take. So surface delight does evokes a lot of emotional attachment, and this is where I will bring my next point. Why? Because it is attributed to how we replicate our physical interactions around us, and we put them onto the digital phase. So perhaps this quote can, explain my point further. So Rano Fierberg from Invisible Details of Interaction Design, an expert in interaction design, says that there's a unique human component to interaction design, and great interaction design rewards learning by reusing metaphors and are modeled after properties from the real world. So what it means that is that interaction designs are brilliant because they see things around them in the real world, and they see elements where they can replicate as metaphors in the digital space. And one example, it's how Apple Wallpaper does it brilliant, where they replicate the scene from Yosemite, one of the best national parks in US, and they model the scenic and calmness feeling from seeing this landscape and replicate it into their wallpaper itself. So while it is, iconic, there's a sense of relatability, a sense of familiarity for the users because like, hey, am I in nature or am I in a digital space? So food for thought. So here I've mapped out a few areas on metaphors that you can see that are intrinsically tied from the physical world to the digital space. For example, having personas, us as humans in a digital space were represented by avatars or characters. For example, the act of scrapbooking or collage making, it's something that we can find on Pinterest, on our Instagram feeds, on our Instagram, explore page as well, where we find joy in different collages of beautiful pictures, and also, for example, alert signs as well. When we see road signs that has a red color sign and an exclamation mark, we do see the same patterns on our digital face where we see an alert trigger warning. It's also in red and usually also comes with an exclamation mark. So this sort of interaction is familiar to us because we already see it in our physical world, our natural world. And as designers, as product teams, we do need to see how we can build metaphors around our physical world and bring them over into the digital space. So I have here another example, a very brilliant one, recently in Config. So this guy, he's from Figma, he's called Kian, and he's going to show you how Figma actually incorporates the hand cursor movement onto FigJam itself.
Can you turn it up just a little bit, Natalie? It's a little bit low.
Oh, sorry about that. I think this volume is kind of fixed, so perhaps you have to turn it up on your speaker itself. I tried before, and I think it's because I was screen recording it, so it didn't capture the volume good enough. Yeah, so
it also has closed captions, so we can also just read along.
Okay, yeah, that works as well. Sorry about that.
But how does that translate to the future? How do we get that without blocking what they're trying to do? Just shake the cursor. So this really opens up a lot of opportunities where we build on top of people existing behavior when they already shake that cursor. Just the way to. So when your hands up, waving should just feel as natural as how you do it in your life. We bake in this waving interaction as the default behavior when this hands up. This whole idea is just like your cursor moves, the hand shifts towards where it moves, and it feels super. And finally, when you see another fellow collaborator with their hands up, high-fiving just like as he's just colliding with them, just like in the physical world. And we spend a lot of time to try to make this as satisfying as possible.
Yeah, really cool, right? So I was there, I saw that, and I was like, wow, they really put a lot of detail into making joy on the roadmap and, in replicating that human behavior of, just engaging and touching and high-fiving each other on the digital surface, and the way how they does it with the cursor as an extension of our hands, because the mouse is the extension of our hands. They did it very brilliantly, and that's something of an inspiration to think about. So just a personal experience, I used to play Pokemon cards when I was young, and Pokemons are extension of personalities, right? When you play trading cards, you are representing the character itself. So when I was thinking of, creating a fun business card, I was like, hey, how about making a Pokemon card of myself? So, by, showing this extension of my physical world attributes onto the digital face, this is something really fun. And when I was showing this to other people in New York, in Boston, they were like, wow, that is so brilliant, because we are familiar with this nostalgia aspect of us. And, by putting it onto the digital face, it creates delight not only for myself, but also for the users, which is, the people that are interacting with me. So if you want to have if you want to, replicate this idea, feel free to do that. I can show you tricks and tips on how to make your own trading card. Yeah. So with that, let's wrap it up on some examples of Surface Delight. Under aesthetics, Top Thrills does it the best. They completely encapsulate the element of nature by, notes of green, notes of gradient, and backdrops of nature and hikes on their interface as well. And in illustration, I think Duolingo does it the best. They created inclusive characters and avatars based on, the basis of learning different languages. It goes back to the function of Duolingo, which is to share languages, to learn languages and different cultures, and they really tie it brilliantly into their illustration system. For example, micro interactions. These are very crucial ways on replicating the physical attributes. So like pressing a button, there is a sort of compression into the button itself. And how we can replicate that in the micro interaction is the way how we press a button on the device. Should be a compression as well and a shadow that makes it more realistic. And lastly, in microcopy, there's so many ways to show personality and a human aspect to it. So for example, this site, Pirate Ship, they did not just say lock me in. They, encapsulate the personality of a pirate and then they say, yar, lock me in instead of lock me in. So, that is something fun and delightful for the user as well. So with that, I want to sum up this section by showing 3 ways we can instill Surface Delight in our own designs. Firstly, and most straightforward way is to create a mood board as inspirations. Mood boards are very underrated when we come to ideation, but they are actually very important visual makers that we can, we can visualize from the physical world. So when you're creating a mood board, do consider some thematic directions on how your design can look like. Include areas like iconography, typography, the different color styles and swatches that you will use, and also make sure to put digital and physical references as well, side by side. And one pro tip here is to set design principles. For example, it should be clean, it should be seamless, it should be minimalistic. These design principles will help anchor your direction on your overall aesthetic and push your design further. Next, personifying prompts. This is a little tricky because it's bringing something so systematic into something that is human. So we always say that this design is very human, and that's what Duolingo does best. They adapt the voice of their personas and their characters into the system prompts, and this can be achieved by crafting compelling user stories and with witty microcopy as well. So I got this from Reddit, where somebody was saying that they saw push notifications from Duolingo that is from the character's voice itself. So for example, for Zari, one of Duolingo's characters is Lily's best friend, and the way how she will respond to the user is, I'm so excited for you. Whereas Lily, who is the emo teen, daughter in your family, she would say in a different way and say that encouragement is Duo's thing, not mine. So in a more sassy attitude. So by putting personas into system prompts, you make system prompts more conversational, more relatable, and that's what sparks Surface Delight as well. So here we have Megan. She's the lead designer of Duolingo, and she's going to show you how they incorporate persona or personality into prompt engineering. So with that, you can see how Duolingo's teams does prompt really, really well. And moving forward, let's go to the last part of Surface Delight, which is understanding natural interactions. So in order to replicate the physical metaphors, physical world in bringing metaphors into the digital world, we need to also understand the boundaries of what consists as a natural interaction. So for example, a circular progress bar, it only animates clockwise because it replicates the natural behavior of a clock. And for buttons itself, we also have to consider when to use a convex surface and when to use a concave surface. So convex meaning it's a bit protrusion. It relates to that this button is active to press. And whereas for concave button, it shows that it has already been pressed or is disabled so that the user cannot press it. So these are some considerations to take note of when we think about creating Surface Delight. I think we do have some time constraints here. Just want to check with Alicia if it's possible to do a quick jamming. If not, we can proceed to the next section. Yeah.
Ooh, good question. I love jams. We do have about 10 minutes left. Do you think that we can take maybe a minute or a minute and a half for the jam?
Yeah, I think 10 minutes is great for the next section. So let's start our thinking cap here. So an introduction here, think of some interactions that you enjoy in your physical world and how they can be adapted onto the digital medium. So I have some examples here like buttons, they are like elevator buttons, sunrise, sunset, the gradient represent like the color scheme of the gradients on the app. You can see that is representative of a sunrise. And also maybe a shutter sound from a camera. It's also intrinsically tied to the digital camera sound as well. So this is a little tricky, but let's try and let's give us 2 minutes on the green board to brainstorm. Okay. All right, guys. I can see that we guys are struggling in this. It's not easy, and especially when it's so spontaneous, we might need some time to do that. We don't have time, however, but this board is always open. So if you have things or afterthoughts that you have aha moments after that, maybe in the Q&A, you can take your time to fill up this board. Yeah. So, thanks for attempting this. We still have a few, like 3 of them. So actual cooking in the kitchen translated to AR VR games. Definitely, I'm a fan of AR VR games and the way how they replicate the actual cooking setup. It's also a way of delight. The elements of cooking, even maybe the fire aesthetics that they have on AR VR game, maybe on Overcook. it is a Surface Delight as well. Chess app. Oh wow, chess again. Okay. Haptic feedback and sounds. Yeah, definitely. Maybe when you are knocking a piece, when you're moving the piece as well, there's sort of, brushing against the wood board. I'm imagining it would be the same experience when you are playing a live chess board with your friends. So it does connects you with the game even further. Agree on that. And then lastly, seems small, but I love push-pull doors. We can adapt the push-pull handles as well. Yeah, definitely. I think the push-pull effect and also the way how, we touch the door could be the way how we interact with pages as well. When we flip pages, when we push a certain button, that kind of touch is something that has to be replicated on the design, on the digital surface, to feel a sense of connection, a sense of nostalgia with the digital world. So yay, that's it for our second thinking care. Really proud of you guys for thinking. And then we will move on to our last section, which is deeper delight. So are you ready? Let's dive in. So we have completed the first part, which is surface delight. And let's move forward to actually understand how to build long-lasting delight experiences. And by doing so, we need to first understand intrinsic motivations from our users. So here are 3 pillars of user delight that also is important for deep delight. So you can find it under Nelson Norman's group article, Pillars of User Delight, and they explain it really well. How is it like to create a holistic, deep, delightful experience? Firstly, visceral delight. What it means is that it's transparent, it's aesthetic, it's out there, it's straightforward, and that also ties back to the surface delight aspect, where it instinctively spark a positive emotional effect. Secondly, behavioral delight. So it's a form of motivation from yourself. So when you are completing a task, you find the product, creating joy while you are completing the task. And when the task is easy to accomplish, you do feel a sense of behavioral delight. And lastly, reflective delight. This is deeper in the sense of knowing your own values, knowing your sense of self, what actually pushes you to be a better person. So for example, later I'll show you Nike Club. They excel in reflective delight because they do pushes the users to not only achieve their goals, but to be an overall holistic, better person. So here, there's this equation that is famous where engagement equals users' intrinsic motivations plus delight. So a very great way on how delightful experience is like is how Nike Club makes function pleasurable. So while they, think of the users' motivations of keeping fit, they also make it fun and delightful by making challenges rewarding users with badges as well, so that they will always, excel and go on to the next badge to attain. And people always find joy in the things that empowers them and make them feel seen. So like Nike Run Club, the sense of empowerment for the users is to be fitter, to be faster, to be better. As straightforward as it is, it's the definition of user empowerment. And in terms of making them feel seen, it's the recognition that they deserve after being a better, fitter athlete, which is by peer support, by community. When your friends see your track score, they will be like, wow, this is amazing, let's do this more. And also the reward when they accomplish a marathon, they win a badge, you can display it on your dashboard, making them feel seen, giving them the delight experience that they want to pursue further, which results in product engagement. So just want to tap on a very personal experience on how I design. Me and my team, we used to design for this app in Taman. So in my past year, in my previous team, the team back home at Taman, we did work endlessly to design a fresh app experience that empowers the Tamil community. So our goal here is to make Tamil culture and language relevancy delightful. And just want to explore and show you guys how we do that. Firstly, we thought of first principles thinking. That is super crucial and often at times overlooked or underlooked by our designers. What first principle thinking means is to actually break down the product into its fundamental parts and actually question its existence and its true purpose of serving for the users. So do note that stakeholders or business owners are also internal users as well. So while we practice first principle thinking with our internal users, it also allows our business owners to question intrinsic motivations. Why do we even have this product in the first place from a business standpoint? So in these three pillars, who, what, why, we then fulfill these buckets. Who meaning what is the function? Who is this product? Why this product? The relevancy of the product itself. And what is this product's vision? What is the next step? Where can we take this to the next level? So opportunity and potential. So with that, you will cover the intrinsic motivations from a business standpoint. And then the next step is to match this intrinsic motivations with your real users, with your primary users, to ensure that your business motivations are also aligned with your users. So what we did at the TM group, the Tamil Merasu group, is that we conduct focus groups. There were 3 rounds, and we also emphasized strongly on the 21 to 30 age year group so that our solutions will actually focus on the younger generation. So here are the intrinsic motivations that we gather from the focus groups. Firstly, the users are motivated to read short form news content. They value ease of readability, and that is so important in any app nowadays where you want to receive short, quick information. Secondly, the need of bilingualism. So language is such an important thing in Singapore society, and in the Tamil community, there is a declining in the use of Tamil language. But there is also a motivation within younger generation to have both a strong command of English and in Tamil as well. And lastly, the motivation for these groups to focus on community building, to focus on getting back into their roots, and also to bridge the gap with culture content. So they do express openly that they want to see more culture content, more lifestyle content, and a break away from just hard news. So with that, we map out both our business motivations and our user motivations. So the next part that we did was to co-create this delight experience. As a design team, we presented 3 experimental concepts during our focus groups. They are, made out of scratch, they are explorative, and these are the 3 experiments. The first one, TM Juice, is more conventional, where it's like a TikTok kind of app. The second, Kopi Kakis, meaning coffee chats, coffee buddies. It's more conversational and it opens the room for, conversations with our users. And lastly, TM Masala, which is spice, masala meaning spice. It focuses more on an AR, VR experience, so it's more innovative. So these 3 concepts are totally different, but we open the floor to our users to create with us. And by practicing speculative design, we also found opportunities to enhance this experience, allow them to mix and match from different experiences, and also discover some prejudice, some misconceptions, and areas of disharmony that we can avoid. So I just want to share with you guys really quickly on one area of disharmony that we have with our users that went really wrong. So when we have presented this solution, the designers had in mind was that we wanted a symbol that represents the Tamil community. And the first thing in mind that we thought of was, why not use the coconut symbol? Because that is a very commonly used ingredient in Tamil culture. We find it in curries, we find it in a refreshment drink like coconut juice. And we thought that this should be something that represents the Tamil culture. However, we were wrong, we were totally wrong. And when we presented to the users, they actually feedback to us that, hey, coconut is actually a negative Desi slang to say that someone is white on the inside and brown on the outside. So, this is something so shocking, but at the same time, so integral for us as designers, because imagine if we use this icon instead without further checking with our users. And that kind of disharmony is something we always want to avoid. So by co-creating this experience, like said before, you're not only figuring areas of delight, you're also trying to minimize areas of disharmony with your users as well. And that, in general, enhances the overall holistic experience. So if you're wondering what symbol did we actually use in the end, we used a drum symbol, which was agreeable upon all users because the drum represents, musical festivities in the Tamil culture. So yeah. So with that, I just bring you guys back to the pillars of deep delight. visceral delight, behavioral delight, and reflective delight. And this is how our TM app has encapsulated all three pillars. In visceral delight, we capture the Tamil aesthetics of colors, of typography, and also the meaning of being Tamil, which is, to indulge in different practices like, horoscope readings, home remedies, movie timings, and also, things like gold currency and gold rates. So these things capture the aesthetics really well. And in behavioral and reflective delight, we listen to what the motivations of the users, and then we provide short form content news. We also empower bilingual content with translation tools, which also reflects what they truly want as a person, as a Tamil user, which is to empower their use of Tamil language. So all in all, we managed to, target deep delight in TM experience, and that's all for that section itself. Thinking Cap 3, just a quick, we are coming to the end of it, but if we have time, if we don't, it's okay because we can always brainstorm this at a later timing. But as a whole, I just want to wrap up by giving some quick recaps. It has been a delight with you guys. I hope so. And I hope you have been, delightful as well throughout the whole presentation. And as a recap, these are the pillars. When you're thinking of delight, please refer to this hierarchy done by Aaron Water. So 5 pillars, and the way how we can break down is delight and aesthetics under surface delight, and experience, utility, and access under deep delight. And how we do so from this presentation is by firstly converging physical world and digital mediums in surface delight, and secondly by actually understanding, going down to the ground to understand users' intrinsic motivations to create deep delight experiences. And how do we do so? We create mood boards, we personify prompts, and we understand natural interactions to make a best surface delight experience. And under deep delight, we practice first principle thinkings, we identify the motivations from both business and users, and we bring those motivations to create and co-create delight with our users. So with that, here are the references and resources. The Feedback Jam, as usual, is open 24/7. I do have a handout here that, summarizes what delightful design is, so you can share with your friends or, apply it within your own, your own projects or during your work time. And here are some resources as well that I've also applied during my own research. And also, thanks guys for listening. Yeah. And if there's any questions, now is the time. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Natalie.
you.
That was wonderful. Not for nothing, I also really love all the images that you use. It definitely helped to kind of put my design brain like zone into exactly what you were talking about. So for me personally, that was super helpful. Thank you.
Yay. Welcome. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, me as well. I loved the session. I loved how you used examples, like real life examples. I think that really helped hit the point home, especially the WhatsApp example. I feel like that'll stick. Yeah, as for questions, have you ever been surprised by a surface delightful design that was successful in bringing joy in one region but not another?
Wow, that's a really tough question. Surprised by the surface delightful design that is successful in bringing joy in one region but not the other. I would say not really, but I would at the same time be also quite surprised with the use of pronouns that is not very common in, for example, Singapore. So for example, in Instagram, right, they have this feature where you can put your pronouns. And I think that's a very delightful experience in any other region out there, where if you want to identify yourself as maybe a she, her, a him, he, or a they, them, that is something that is integral already. But perhaps in Asian culture region, that is something that is not really adopted yet. And as such, perhaps the delight will come later. So I would say I was pleasantly surprised that, Instagram had that feature. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I also had a question. So you've done a lot of ethnography research in different cultures in order to like create designs for them. So what is that? What does your research process look like? Is my first question. What's like the most unexpected thing you like found out from your research about another culture that was like very different from your own?
Definitely. Thanks for asking. I think that's a great question. One thing about, understanding culture is that it's always sensitive. You know, qualitative data is not enough to actually understand your users because as what, shown before, we almost miscalculated our Tamil users by showing the icon that we thought it was great. So when it comes to doing in-depth research for different cultural patterns, we do need to identify what's the best approach, which indefinitely it is doing focus groups, is doing one-to-one testing, finding our real users and also asking them what is the right solution for them. Because when it comes to culture, we don't want to misrepresent them. And that is so important, especially as an industry of news where we are the spokesperson of the community. We have a responsibility as a brand to provide the most accurate information. So, taking that accountability and taking that ownership as a designer, as a product, and also giving space for qualitative resources like focus group is our priority when it comes to building quality experiences with our users. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. One more question from Imran. Is there an occasion where a surface level delight would be more important than experience delight?
Wow, that's really tough to say. I would say the reason why the hierarchy, maybe I can go back to the slide where we see the hierarchy itself, and then we can break it down together. So that is a very interesting question because a lot of times we focus a lot on service delight, and that captures the users at first glance. But as a metaphor that says, no matter how shiny a restaurant looks, if a food sucks, you won't go there for a second time. So I still believe in the notion that even though surface delight is very, very important in captivating the user's first attention, it's honestly about the experience, about the utility, about the function, and about how accessible it is to the users that makes it delightful and more delightful, I would say, in the long run. So yes, while surface delight is something we cannot compromise in and we need to put resources in, these three pillars are things that we need to build most importantly as designers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or reach out to Natalie on LinkedIn if you want to put a link to how they can contact you.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Let me do that later. I think this QR code doesn't work, but I will share I think Alicia might be sharing the slides with you guys and you can feel free to reach out to me. Yeah. Thanks for the question, guys. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Natalie, again for sharing your experiences and your expertise. Thank you, everyone, for coming and sharing some of your Friday Eve with us. Like we said earlier, this is recorded and will be set up on our YouTube, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for the support, everyone. And I hope you enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you.
Yay. Okay, so I think that's about it.
That's about it. Thank you so
move
much
on.
and feel better. Get better.
You too, get better. Both of us. Yeah, get well soon. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, bye.
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 Hey everyone, on behalf of IterateUX, we'd like to thank you so much for watching this week's event. If you like the content, please leave a like and subscribe. We'll have events every Thursday at 5:30 Pacific Time. Join our Discord in the description to find out more.